everybody. We are back and we are going to talk about low-dose naltrexone.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a medication that not very many people have probably heard of, even though it's been around for a really long time.
I've never heard of anything like that. Like, that name is really strange to me.
Right, yeah. So what it does is really interesting. So in its big doses is something we use to get people off of opioids because it's an opioid blocker. So and it's part of Suboxone, if you've ever heard of that. But in microdoses, it does something really, really interesting. Like most things do, a little bit different. So it's still an opioid blocker. And due to that mechanism of action, so Stanford Medical School actually did a study on it. This is not just something, you know, I found like laying in the gutter and thought, let's try this out, right? This is a well-researched medication. It has over 200 studies. It's amazing. And what they found is that in the microdoses, by blocking the opioid actions, because we have natural opioids, it tells your body to make more of those, and those are endorphins.
Okay.
So when we create more endorphins, we feel good.
Yep.
That's just how it works.
Yeah, right.
Right. And then the second thing it does is it works on certain receptors in our brain that produce inflammation. So inflammation is the root cause of all disease. Literally all disease, it is inflammation. We have a lot of inflammation, particularly in our culture, because of the foods we eat, the stress that we're under, the amount that we don't exercise, just a lot of things cause our body to have this huge stress response. And then that in turn causes inflammation throughout our body. When we have inflammation, we don't feel good.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So inflammation can be very subtle as well. So inflammation, you can have your elbow can hurt.
Right.
But it can be as subtle as Crohn's disease comes from that. Cancer comes from that. I mean, so people don't often realize that connection between getting super stressed out every day at work and these long-term health effects that we have. And so reducing inflammation really the key to having a very healthy, great life. I do not like to keep people on medications for their entire lives. And so generally what I do with low-dose naltrexone is I use it as a bridge while we're fixing gut health.
Okay.
Because usually people need a couple different things in their life. They need better, healthier guts,
right,
and they need some stress reduction. And so we work on those two things. We talk about meditating.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of things with reducing stress, managing your life, and how do you not let all these things get to your head? How do you slow down?
Right.
Right. And so we've talked about a lot of this, and you know, now Rakan is all zen all the time. You'll notice, right?
Yes.
So, and we're working on gut health, which we're going to talk about later too.
Yep.
But in the meantime, before we get there, we've got to reduce all this inflammation.
Right.
So low-dose naltrexone is the key to that. How it works, everybody has a perfect dose. I cannot look at you. It is not based on your size, your weight, your age, what's happening. There is no rhyme or reason to it. Mm-hmm. So you start at a very small dose of 0.5 milligrams, and then the max dose for microdosing is 4.5. Now there are some other protocols that we can be doing, like if people take long-term, like say oxycodone, and they want to get off of that, you can use microdoses of LDN to do that. So yeah, it is really neat. Yeah, definitely, without the kind of crash and burn of just stopping opioids overnight. But for people that are not doing that, that are just looking for some overall inflammation relief, which, you know, some of the things that Rakan told me about, primarily lack of energy. Like that really, chronic inflammation causes you to be very tired.
And I've been on, I don't know, I don't think a lot of people know this, but I've been taking antibiotics before I switched to Accutane because I have acne rosacea, mm-hmm, and that was the only way to manage it was taking antibiotics, and I was on antibiotics for about between 4 and 5 years. And if I don't take them, my face just gets completely swelled up. You know, I get these big pimples. They hurt, and they're really not pleasant to look at. So I know my gut health is really not in the best shape, so probably that LDN stuff will hopefully help a lot.
Yes, absolutely. So while we're fixing your gut,
yes,
exactly. And rosacea is a symptom of inflammation.
Yep, that's another thing, yes.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So some of the other things that low-dose naltrexone can treat, I'm not going to read all of them to you because it's a lot, but we can help people with anxiety. Anxiety is coming from your gut almost all the time from inflammation.
Oh, wow.
So I know, isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is amazing.
Yeah, and depression.
Yeah.
because an inflamed brain is a depressed brain. So some of the other things that we can do with LDN, atopic dermatitis, which is like eczema, psoriasis is another thing. Brain fog. Oh my gosh, the dreaded brain fog. Oh my goodness, Crohn's disease. We talked about depression, fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a huge thing that I use low-dose naltrexone for, because just that overall pain is so uncomfortable, and then people stop moving.
I know people who has it, and I kind of understand what it is. I mean, I'm glad I don't have it, but and I feel sorry for anybody who does. But I've seen people who have it, and it's just terrible.
Everything hurts all the time.
Yep, that's the worst thing I can think of.
It's because they're just so inflamed.
Right.
So we can actually reverse that, and it is. I have seen just amazing things where people just feel like they have their lives back,
that's
and
awesome.
that's the whole goal.
I know.
We want to feel good every day.
I can't wait. So I'm not that old, but I'm having a lot of issues with my joints, like my knees, and so hopefully we'll get that all taken care of.
Yes, absolutely. So IBS, again, we're talking about gut health there, rheumatoid arthritis, restless leg syndrome, all these things. There's so many things. So what I really encourage you to do if you're interested in low-dose naltrexone is please do not Google it. Oh my gosh, it makes me crazy.
Yep.
Yes. But there is a website. It's ldnresearchtrust.org. Tons and tons of research. There's also a couple books. You can get these books. You can order them. The LDN book 1 and 2. And there's also 3 that just came out. And these specifically talk about, like, say you have something, like this book is talking about post-traumatic stress disorder, gut health, dermatology, things like that. So the 3 books talk about different things. You can get these at Makers in Mount Vernon on 1st Street, or you can order them from the LDN Research Trust.